Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So today's video is going to be 5 horses I'm backing today, or have backed today, for the Cheltenham Festival. And the reasons, I will also quote their non-runner no bet prices, because I think some of you might want to get non-runner no bet rather than risk them actually not turning up at the festival. I always, very often try and work out whether I feel they're going to go. If they're going to go, then you take the bigger price, even if it's non-runner no bet. And if it's an injury that costs you, then that's a bit unlucky rather than actual not running in that race. That's when you're more disappointed. If it's an injury, it's nothing you could have done about it. So I tend to go for the bigger price, but I understand that some of you will want the non-runner no bets on these. So I will include those prices for you, or tell you what those are. So the first horse I'm going to talk about is Vintage Clouds. I will be backing him, or have backed him, for the Ultima at the Cheltenham Festival, and you can get 33 to 1 about him. Now, for a horse who's finished first, second and third in this race in 3 of the last 4 years, I think that's a great price. And the time he finished outside the places, he was still only 8th, and he ran quite well. He went off 28 to 1 for it when he was 8th, off a mark of 151. Now, when he was first, second and third, he ran off marks of 143, 144 and 141. Well, he's back down to 143. That's his mark. That's his rough mark for the Ultima. And I think at 33 to 1, he looks a good bet. I did make a tweet earlier in the season. Somebody said, who's your best handicap horses for each day so far? And I actually tweeted that. Well, it was me that actually tweeted that. Tuesday, Ultima, Vintage Clouds, trained by Sue Smith. She liked it. Now, I wonder whether that means that is where we're going. They didn't run him in the Peter Marsh. I was worried about that. If he ran in the Peter Marsh, he could have won that. And that's what actually, I think, cost him his chance at Cheltenham in 2020. He won the Peter Marsh. He went up too high in the handicap and then didn't. Well, he ran well. He finished 8th, but he wasn't able to get in frame. I think this year he'll go really close again. Last year he beat Happy Go Lucky and I Right. Both of them have subsequently won feature handicaps. It was good form. There's no reason for me not to back him. I don't believe any of these 3 runs here, his 5th, 8th and pulled up, were going days at all. I think they were waiting to go back to the Cheltenham Festival. So he's 33 to 1. You can get 25 to 1 non-runner no bet. The second horse I want to talk about is Rouge Thief. And I'm hoping Rouge Thief does something similar to what I said about Merc Fabulous. It's just shy of graded company, run him in the handicap. Harry Whittington actually did this with Rouge Thief after he finished 3rd in an Arkle. He then ran him in a handicap in the October of that year, and he won. And when he won really impressively. And he won that off a mark of 156. Now, he's now rated 153, and he's been tried in graded races since. All his last 5 races have been in graded races. He stepped up to 2.5 at Kempton, that didn't work. Go back to 2 mile, go back to Cheltenham, drop him back into the handicap, off a £3 lower mark than when winning comfortably by 7.5 lengths. I think you got a great chance. He's 25 to 1 for that. You can get 14 to 1 non-runner no bet, and I know why there's a bigger discrepancy, or kind of a bigger discrepancy there. If he turns up, I think he goes off single figures. But I hope he runs there, and where else could you go with him? And why would you run a horse who's been to Cheltenham 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times? You've been to Cheltenham 5 times. Surely the owner's going to want to run there again. And they're not going to run him in the Queen Mother because he's not going to get close in the Queen Mother. Where else can you run him? Grand Annual. So I really like him at 25 to 1. The third horse I'm going to talk about is Plan of Attack, who's available at 20 to 1 non-runner no bet. So you can get 20 to 1. That's the biggest price. And he's non-runner no bet. So you might as well back it at 20 to 1. Why do I like him and wherefore? I think this is for the Kim Muir. So I did say after he finished 3rd at Cheltenham, if he can learn to jump around those cross-country fences, he can go close in the cross-country race itself. Now, I still think, even though it would then be a level a level weights rather than a handicap, I think he would do the same sort of run. He would jump atrociously, but have the flat speed to keep up the horses and finish third or fourth. But I'm hoping they go back to the Kim Muir, and I'm hoping that's been the target since he fell last year. He was actually moving into it quite nicely off 138 when falling, when he went off 7-1 last year. And he was just starting to make a bit of ground, about 4 out, I think it was. Might not have even been that. It might have been 3 out when falling. Now, he came into that race with a chance, and he'd also been in the race in 2020 when he finished 4th off a mark of 140. So 138 is certainly a mark that he can run well off. The Kim Muir, he's run well once and was going to go close the second time. Why won't he go back? I don't understand. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't go back for the Kim Muir as well. He's 20-1, non-runner, no bet. The 4th horse I'm going to talk about actually has entries this weekend, and I don't think he's anywhere near his ceiling. He's rated 137, and I do genuinely believe that this horse could turn into a graded horse in the future. He just needs to get his act together during the race, sort of thing. He kind of switches off, gets himself into all sorts of trouble, and then runs on strongly. Now, he's only had 2 runs over 2.5 mile, and I think they were his best runs. He finished second recently at Kempton when he was second at Jacamar, and he finished 4th at Aintree in a Pertemps Network handicap hurdle in the April meeting of the Grand National. That's where I hope he stays. I hope he stays over the 2.5 mile trip, and it kind of demonstrates he will based on his 3 entries this weekend. He's entered over 3 mile in the Grade 2, where I hope he doesn't run, and I hope a Hoisinor goes there and wins comfortably. He's entered in the 2.5 at Sandown, and he's entered in the just shy of 2.5 handicap. Now, if he ran in the handicap, I'd be worried that he wins there and ruins his mark for the Cheltenham Festival. But this is where I think he'll go. It's a small field. Nicky's only got the 1 in it. I think Pictor and Lompress both turn up as well. I think one of those wins the race. I think Mr. Coffee finishes 2nd or 3rd. Handicap mark stays exactly where it is. And he goes to the Cheltenham Festival with a great chance in the plate, in the handicap chase. I think the weekend run will purely be getting more experience into him. This will be his 3rd run over fences, and I'm hoping that then he can go for the Paddy Power plate at 25-1, non-runner, no bet again. So if you back him now and he ends up not missing the race because he wins one of these and goes too high in the handicap, or he wins the Grade 2 over 3 mile and they end up running him in the 3 mile novice event, at least you get your money back. The final horse I want to talk about that I have backed is Honest Vic, and I've backed him at 50-1. He's available at 33-1, non-runner, no bet. Why do I like him? So he's back down to a mark of 141, which is the same mark as when he won here, over the 3 mile trip, or just shy of 3 mile, which was his first run over this distance, and that came after finishing 5th in the Coral Cup behind Dame de Compagnie, Black Tears, who won the Mares last year. Those days are gone, who had come into it off the back of a big handicap win at Leopardstown, and Cracking Smart, who's since won a couple of races, I believe. That was good form, and if you actually watch the race, I don't know what... Oh, there we go. He traded at 78% lower. And he traded at 78% lower because turning into the straight, he came there with a big chance. And I think he just got outpaced on that run to the last, because then he did run on again a little bit. I think back at Cheltenham over 3 mile in the Pertemps final, look at the score he got when he ran this race. 179.2, that's huge. If he runs that in the Pertemps final, he'll win the Pertemps final. And at 50-1 or 33-1, non-runner, no bet, I think that's a good bet. I think last time out, when he was 5th at Huntington, 5th out of, was it 7 or 8 turned up? I think it was purely to get a little bit of confidence back into him and to qualify for the race. He had to finish in the top 6, 9 ran, Mill Green unseated quite early. He then only had to beat 2 horses. He ended up beating 3. I think that was a good run for him, and there was no intention of of really challenging to win the race or anything. They've got him qualified. He'll get in the Pertemps final, and I'm really keen on him for the Pertemps final. So there's 5 horses I like. Vintage Clouds for the Old Teamer, Rouge Vif for the Grand Annual, Plan of Attack for the Kim Muir, Mr. Coffee for the Paddy Power Plate, and Honest Vic for the Pertemps final. Good luck if you follow any of those, and enjoy the rest of your week.